What's up, ladies and gents? You know what time of day it is. It's Zebec time, and in today's video we're going to be talking all about Zebec. We're going to be discussing what we are seeing here on the charts. I'll be giving you guys my price prediction for Zebec over the coming days and weeks, as well as my targets for 2025. So be sure to stay tuned for all of that. Of course, if you are a new viewer, then welcome to this channel. If you do like this sort of content, hit the like button and subscribe for more. If you are a returning viewer, as always, welcome back to the channel. It's great to have you all here. So of course, we're going to be diving straight into this video. I just want to make a quick note about the sound quality as well. I do apologize if it doesn't sound as good as normal. I am abroad at the moment in a hotel, and I do not have my microphone with me, so I am doing the best with just the MacBook that I have. Of course, when it comes to June, I will be back at home, so videos will be returning to daily uploads. So of course, once again, if you want to follow along on the journey, do be sure to subscribe. Of course, we're going to start off here with Zebec on the shorter term. We have the 1 hour chart up at the moment, and this is essentially the picture that we have. Of course, unless you've been living under a rock, over the past few weeks, Zebec has had a massive run up. Of course, the low there on the 14th of May was at 0.14 cents. We saw essentially a 4x to the peak there of 0.53 cents. That's a new all-time high here for Zebec. Of course, firstly, if you did manage to catch that move, then congratulations to you. Give yourself a massive tap on the back. If you've been watching this channel, we do cover Zebec a lot, so we knew that this run was going to happen. Of course, if you are watching these videos and you are not yet holding any Zebec, then do not worry. I still personally think that Zebec is going to be going a lot higher. And of course, if we have a look at this chart, what I'm seeing now is still very bullish. Although over the past few hours, since that previous all-time high there at 0.53 cents, we have seen this little bit of a dip, but that is nothing, in my opinion, to be concerned about. Of course, what we are seeing here on the shorter term is, in my opinion, a consolidation period, something very similar to the consolidation that we saw back at the start of May. In fact, if I go on the one-day chart, you guys can see it a lot clearer. And so at the end of April, we saw a low there of 0.07 cents. And from that, we pumped throughout the start of May to a high there of 0.2 cents. So a nice 3x pump here on Zebec. And once we got to this region here, you can see that the prices stopped going up and just started going sideways. We saw a little bit of a dump on the shorter term, a bit of a rise there on the price, a little bit more of a dump, and a little bit of a rise. And so this area, for about a week here on Zebec, was just trending between this upper resistance line where the price has come up to several times and has been rejected. We have a support going across like this where the price has come down to and bounced from. And so essentially this is a consolidation period here on Zebec. And of course, once we broke out past this upper resistance line, we went on this massive rally here on Zebec, another 3x to where the current all-time high is there at 0.53 cents. So what we are seeing right now, in my opinion, is something similar to a consolidation period that we saw before. At the moment, I'm watching several trend lines here on Zebec. One of the foremost trend lines that I see at the moment looks something a little bit like this. And at the moment, it's still developing. So this triangle looking pattern could change depending on what the price does over the next few hours, but it doesn't affect the principle that we are in some sort of consolidation at the moment. Of course, we can see that the prices have bounced to this support level on 2 or 3 separate occasions. We've got this resistance here that's been tested 3 different times, making it quite a strong resistance. So over the next few hours, we could be watching this triangle, because if we start to break out past this upper resistance line, just like the break that we saw from this resistance back here on Zebec, then this could mean that we're going to start on the next leg up. And of course, if that happens, then we have some pretty awesome price targets to be looking forward to here on Zebec over the coming days and week. And of course, just before I go into those price targets, another major reason why I do not think the price of Zebec has topped here is because if we have a look at the MACD and the price relationship, in my opinion, it still looks very healthy. If we draw a trend line connecting the 2 highs here on Zebec, so let's draw it across going like this, we can see that the trend line is heading in an upwards direction. Now, one of the major things that I do to look for a top here in Zebec is if we see some divergences, but the price and the MACD, as you can see, the trend lines connecting the peaks on both the MACD and the price are both heading in the upwards direction. So we haven't got a divergence yet, which is very healthy in my opinion. If we compare that, for example, to what we saw back in February, we saw a clear divergence between the MACD and the price. Of course, on the price, we made a new high here on Zebec. Prices came down, then came up to make a new high previous to the peak there. So the trend line is facing up. But on the MACD, that trend line was clearly facing down. So we got a strong bearish divergence here as Zebec made new highs on the price here. And that is why the prices came down shortly thereafter. But right now, we are seeing a healthy relationship between the MACD and the price on the shorter term. Now, of course, if, like I say, we break out from this consolidation region and we start to head upwards here on Zebec, then the price targets that I will be looking at in the immediate future is along the Fibonacci levels that come from that previous all-time high all the way down to the previous all-time low. And of course, as you can see, the Fibonacci levels are places of support and resistance for the Zebec price. For example, have a look at that 0.5 fib there. The prices have come to this level on multiple times to test it as a resistance. So we know that Zebec really does respect these fib levels. Most recently, we can see that most recently from this pump that we've had, we've come up pretty much spot on to this 1.272 fib here and tested it as a resistance. That's probably why we've seen the prices dip from this fib here. Of course, this is a strong resistance for the Zebec price, and that's why we have headed down in the shorter term. So of course, we can use these fib levels to predict where the price of Zebec is going to be going. Now, of course, as we can see, if the prices start to make new all-time highs, which I believe they will, the next natural target here for Zebec is 0.66 cents. It's the next fib level up here. And of course, that's going to be quite a strong resistance for Zebec as well, because it's also the price target stemming from this double bottom pattern. Of course, we can see that the price on Zebec has come down to this level on two separate occasions. And so we can treat this whole structure as a double bottom breakout, and the price target for that actually sits on this 1.414 fib as well. So that, in my opinion, will be quite a strong area of resistance. If we can crack past that, the next natural target for Zebec is essentially 1 cent, which lies on the 1.618 fib, and that is what I think Zebec is going to over the next few days and weeks. For the slightly longer term, so I'm talking just in 2025 in general, so maybe a few months down the line, my price targets here for Zebec lie on this 2 fib, which is my conservative target, and my optimistic target here, which is 2.618 fib. So my conservative target here for Zebec is 1.7 cents, and my optimistic target here for Zebec is sitting at 4.7 cents. So those are my 2025 targets. If you are looking for a great place to buy or trade any Zebec, then look no further than the MEX Exchange. This is the exchange that I use for my trading because they have some of the lowest fees. They don't require any KYC, and for a limited time only, they're giving every new user who signs up using the link in the description down below $20. So if you want to make use of that offer, sign up in the link in the description down below. It takes less than a minute to do so. Don't forget to deposit some fiat or crypto into your MEX account, and they'll give you that $20 straight away. So you can, for example, just simply buy some Zebec or trade any such breakouts. Of course, thank you guys for supporting this channel. Let's get back into this video. So of course, over the coming days and weeks, I do think it's very, very possible for Zebec to be heading towards that 1 cent region, right by this 1.618 fib. Of course, over the coming months, so my targets for 2025 is up to 4.7 cents here at this upper fib level. Of course, for the best possible chance for us to hit this optimistic price target at 4.7 cents, what we need to see are these two indexes pointing very favorably. At the moment, the Fear and Greed Index is at 68, which indicates greed. But for the best possible chance of those upper price targets, we need to see this value at least 80, which is extreme greed. And that generally tends to signal market tops. So we still got a bit of space to go here on the Fear and Greed Index. What gets me even more excited though is this altcoin season index, which is only at 23, which as you can see says it's Bitcoin season, which means that Bitcoin is outperforming altcoins. That generally tends to mean that, for example, if we see the whole market drop, if we see Bitcoin drop by 1%, then we'll see altcoins drop on average by more than 1%. But if we get an altcoin season, that means that altcoins are clearly outperforming Bitcoin. And of course, Zebec is an altcoin, so for the best possible chance for Zebec to reach these astronomical price targets, we need to see this value at above 75, which means that altcoins are clearly outperforming Bitcoin. So this actually gets me very, very bullish because Zebec has done this massive rally over the past few weeks without there being a true altcoin season. So imagine the kind of run up that we're going to see here on Zebec when this value goes above 75 and when altcoins really truly start to outperform Bitcoin. It's going to be absolutely nuts in my opinion. So this actually gets me very, very bullish. But yes, like I say, this value has to be above 75 for that 4.7 cents here on Zebec to be realized. So of course, as a summary, I am very, very optimistic here on Zebec. In the shorter term, I think what we are seeing here is a consolidation, very, very similar to what we saw in mid-May, where the prices kind of consolidated sideways like this. I think we are going to see a sort of repeat of a consolidation that looks like that, and we are going to see the prices go up sooner rather than later. Shorter term targets for me are 0.66 cents and 1 cent, and my longer term targets for 2025 is from 1.7 cents to 4.7 cents up here. So basically from where the prices are right now, my optimistic target is roughly an 11x. So of course guys, hopefully this video was helpful for you. Thank you so much for watching. Do let me know down in the comments if you are a holder here on Zebec. If you are a holder, how long have you been a holder for on Zebec? Have you joined over the past few days? Have you been a holder since 2024? Let me know down in the comments. I love hearing from you guys. Otherwise, guys, have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video.